Let's cut this whole thing out. Okay, move on. It's a great mug.
Yeah.
So since I've got dinner cooking, we should get on with this.
Yes, we should. So
it's way past your drinking time as well.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I've got to be up in about 4 hours or something. So
I have to serve dinner.
So, welcome to Pros and Cons. It's the second podcast of mine that you've now appeared on. Hopefully this one won't involve projectile vomiting.
No, it won't, but we can hope.
So started this podcast because a lot of people that listen to my shows I don't want to say wannabe writers, but they're interested in becoming screenwriters or authors. So I've been bringing on authors and screenwriters to talk about the craft with them. I get a lot of weird questions sent in, so some of them will come up as we go along.
I have a lot of useless information.
Yeah, me too.
Which goes really well for weird questions. So have at it.
Yeah. So there's one that always comes up. People want to know, especially when talking to screenwriters, what comes first for you? Is it the character or the plot?
There's no rhyme or recipe. It's an idea can come from anywhere. It can be a character. It can be a situation. It can be a title. Someone gave me a title the other day. I don't know where I'm going to go with it, but that could, it's a germ that starts and it grows. It can grow into a movie or a story. It can grow into a virus and you want to kill it. But it really does start in different places for me. In my books, my Lucky Dey books, I had the character before I had the stories, and that was a while looking for the stories to fit him in. He was actually, I was trying to build a TV show around something involving him, but all I had was the guy. And so that came first. And other stuff, like a movie like Money Train, which is the simplest thing. Someone sat down with me one day and said, "Have you ever heard of the Money Train?" And I said, "What's that?" And he explained it to me. And 5 minutes later, I had a movie. So you never know. It could take 5 minutes or 5 years. It's just all bouncing around in there, and some things stick together sometimes.
Yeah. With Money Train, did you, with a film like that or any other, well, obviously with Die Hard 2, you wrote that with Bruce Willis in mind because he wasn't going to be getting recast. Nope. But when you were writing Money Train, did you write that with anyone in particular in mind?
No, I try not to. I try to write interesting characters. I mean, it was turned into what I like to say: white men can't ride the subway to service the Woody Harrelson, Wesley Snipes relationship. But no, that wasn't written with that in mind. Obviously, when you're writing a Die Hard, you've got Bruce in mind. And when I've written movies for him before, I've had Bruce in mind because he's there and his limitations. I have tailored scripts for certain actors. Sometimes you go in. Remember one script that on a movie that didn't get going, but Sean Penn was going to be involved. And knowing with Sean Penn, I had to go, and he was going to play this very loquacious character. I knew that wasn't going to be him. He was going to come in and start stripping lines. So I began reducing dialogue, knowing it was going to be more done with looks and smoldering close-ups and all that stuff. So, but I rarely start with an actor's in mind. It's kind of, I think that can be limiting, and it could be the point where I've read scripts by other people and said, clearly you had this actor in mind. Well, what if that actor says no? What are you going to do?
Yeah, and or in the current climate, something comes out about the actor, you have to
Right.
recast.
Yeah. And to be frank, actors actually don't like reading things that were tailored for them.
No.
Actors like to think that they're coming to something new and fresh, and it's going to do something for them. Good actors and bad actors, they live with that hope that this will be something new and something that will help their career, something that will make them a bigger star or win them an award. So you really want to make the character interesting, and not the reverse, as in make the actor interested in the character. I think that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So when another topic that comes up quite a lot, especially with screenwriting, is when you're coming on to an established franchise like Die Hard. What's that like from the writing process point of view? Were you?
It's not. If there's certain writing processes that are the same,
Yeah.
as in you get up, you sit down, you do the work. You're using it's the same noggin.
Yep.
The ideas are coming out of that you're writing the non-franchise piece for. So there's a lot of it that's very, very similar. The dissimilarities to a normal writing process is not any different than, for example, trying to write for a genre that you've never written before. One thing I always tried to do is consume a lot of that genre. It's like going to a foreign country and listening to the language until you understand it. If I was going to write for a particular franchise, if I would want to consume all of it, so I'm sort of understand it and I'm up to speed. I might also want to read other drafts of other scripts that were written before. I don't want to write like it. I want to bring my own voice to it, but at the same time, it's a franchise, and you need to service the franchise. You need to please the fans.
Yeah.
You need to be concerned that you're going to bring something to that fan base that they're going to stand up and applaud over. So that's sort of what with Die Hard, it wasn't hard because I loved the movie. I had seen it 3 times in the first few weeks before I got asked to work on the sequel. So it was really under my skin at that point. So it wasn't hard. It was nerve-wracking and scary, but it was probably more nerve-wracking and scary now. I was kind of young and dumb and just sort of jumped in with, every pore and microbe that was in me.
Yeah.
And immersed myself and, came out with a movie.
Would you say that writing a story that you've come in on the ground on, so you've done all the development on the characters and everything yourself, is a more rewarding writing process than coming in to write a sequel?
They're different kinds of rewards. In some respect, it's rewarding because it's yours, and it's very similar to the difference between writing a novel and writing, a movie. A movie, there's the wonders and joys of the collaborative process. Writing a book, it's yours. Everything that it's really written in stone, and at some point it's going to be published, and there it is. You can't take it back. It's all you, and it lives or dies on you. And that there's a certain success as a writer. There's great satisfaction in that kind of writing. It's the more satisfying in the moment writing is writing books or something original. But writing a big pop hit, whether it's a franchise or not, to me, that's like smoking crack. You want to do it again. You want to go back and repeat itself. So they're just different. It's like cooking 2 different meals. You can enjoy them both equally.
Yeah, in the process of adapting a series of novels, which is a weird process for me because usually it's my concept, or as you say, I've come on and there's maybe been a couple of drafts of something before me to work off of, and that seems fine. But when you're adapting a novel, you feel like you have slightly more, like you're playing in someone else's sandbox, whereas with a script, you're like, well, it's slightly different somehow for some reason.
When you're adapting a novel to screenplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely, but it's kind of similar to the franchise thing. You're hoping if it's a, it might be different. When I adapted 58 Minutes to be Die Hard, I don't know if there was a lot of Walter Wager fans who went out there to see the movie because it was based on his books. I don't even know if he had that many fans.
Yeah.
But I had to do a Die Hard. If I was assigned the assignment to adapt something by J.K. Rowling, I think you need to be really careful where you step and what you choose to write. And I thought it was brilliant, by the way, of Warner Brothers to keep paying Steve Kloves probably just boatloads of money to adapt those movies because he really got it.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, he really understood where to step and how to step. And that's a whole nother, I mean, it's there, I guess, as you put it, it would be a different kind of sandbox.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think it was more of a help or more of a, I don't want to say hindrance, to have J.K. Rowling around as much as she was on set? Because when you read the reports of Harry Potter getting made, she had a say in every aspect of the films.
I don't know. I don't know how much she used that say. I don't know if she was there just to consult.
Yeah.
I don't know if people had to walk on eggshells around here. I think we would have heard those stories.
Yeah.
My guess is she probably was a remarkable collaborator, while at the same time, the people making the films probably very wisely understood that the Harry Potter fans, that it was her world, and it was her sandbox, and they were playing in it, and that was, I think it's one of the reasons why I think the series was so successful. Nobody tried to mess with that.
Yeah.
They didn't. There was no Hollywood arrogance that went into, well, we know how to do Harry Potter better than J.K. Rowling, which Hollywood does quite often. We know we're going to make this book a big hit. We're going to fix the stuff, the errors in the book. And a lot of screenwriters do that. And some adapting for film, there are things that you really need to correct, whether it's bad storytelling or storytelling that won't work on film. But when you have a priceless brand like Harry Potter, you treat it with the respect it deserves, I'm sure, and they did. And I think they all made a lot of money on it. So
yeah, just a little bit. She, as a writer, has had some success moving into other genres. She's written a couple of crime novels. How do you find switching between genres? Is there genres you prefer to write in, or are you open to writing whatever your story requires the genre to be?
I would say, I used to say there were certain genres I wouldn't write because I just didn't think I was if you asked me to write a comedy, like a sit down, knee slapping, silly, comedy, some light, sex comedy or something like that, I would probably be a miserable failure. Yet at the same time, when I've challenged myself to write things that I didn't think I was going to be able to write, I may not have cleared the bar, but I certainly learned a lot. I mean, I'd never written an action film before I wrote Die Hard. That was crazy. I remember saying to them, you guys, you realize I'm not an action writer. And they said, you're a writer. You love Die Hard. Make it happen. And so I was kind of like on the job training. So I'm a real big believer in writers stretching into areas that they're uncomfortable with. It's if anything, they're going to learn a great deal.
Yeah, yeah. I tend to stick to stuff, genres I'm comfortable with, unless I'm writing something for myself, just as like an exercise, and then I'll write something like batshit crazy, like a musical or something.
Right. Yeah, see, that would be kind of a challenge. I'd sort of like to do that. It would be really hard, and it would take me a long time. I remember writing. Wrote a romantic adventure comedy. So I just the flat out comedy I can't do. I can do action comedy. I can do adventure. You know, there's a certain. It's got to be funny on the page. I wouldn't be a good sitcom writer, for example, because you got to learn how to write jokes.
Yeah.
Or laugh lines or stuff like that. But I recall a project that didn't get made. That was a real, at the heart of it, it was a romantic adventure comedy, and it was, you know, like a romantic action comedy to some degree. And I really, beforehand, I steeped myself in a lot of my favorite romantic films, and to kind of get, like I said earlier, get that thing under my skin. It still took me a long time to write it.
Yeah.
I was quite careful. It didn't come out of me naturally. I think by the time I got to the end, I sort of got it, and I felt the rhythms and felt I did a really good job on it. But it did take some time. I was careful with it. Stuff that I have done a lot, it definitely, it's like speaking a language. You just, if you know it, it comes out. You can write in it quickly. You're much more efficient.
Yeah.
I should have stuck to just one genre. I'd probably be really good at something. Just do one thing. All this stretching stuff is probably just baloney. Balloon juice. You can just, you know, do what Lin-Manuel Miranda did. Stay in your lane. Write 2 big giant hit musicals.
Yeah. But then on the flip side,
do you realize Drew, on your screen it says Drew Crayson? The little banner across your face is Drew Crayson. Have you changed your name?
No, I remember this now. Yes, I remember that I did the last time I did a Google Hangout. I was slightly drunk and misspelt my name.
There you go.
And I've not changed it since.
Well, that's never happened before.
No.
All right. Anyway, back onto the serious stuff. Just in case people were wondering if they found the wrong podcast.
Yeah.
Who is this Drew Crayson guy?
Why does this Russian guy get a Scottish accent?
He's his evil twin.
Yeah, one of the things a lot of people have wanted me to ask is, once you had the success with Die Hard 2, obviously you've had other action scripts that you've written, like Bad Boys and stuff. Was that what you were getting offered a lot at that time? Like, once you have a big hit with an action film, is that what they basically come to you with?
Once you're in the box, they want to keep you in the box, and they do lots. They conspire to keep you in the box. They don't want you leaving the box. I wrote Bad Boys because I wanted the cash so I could finish the book I was trying, my first novel I was trying to write. My agents weren't very keen on that. They were very quick to try and, right after Bad Boys, production rewrite, big hit movie, put me into a whole lot of production rewrites. And I kind of backed out of some of those to do some stuff. But yeah, they want you to do the same thing. Give us what you gave us before.
It's such a
unless
weird
the thing that you give them is something new every time.
Yeah.
If that's what they think, give us that thing. You know, give us the wow every time, something new, if that's your thing. But generally speaking, they're chasing money. You know, they're chasing success, and they're hiring you to chase that success. It sounds very cynical, and it is, and it's wrong, because as you see by the movies that they're making, there's a sameness to them all.
Yeah.
You know, that's why all the good work is in television right now, for the most part.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Hollywood at the moment is a place that's either remakes or sequels.
Yep. They're marketing schemes.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They're cynical marketing schemes. And sometimes they can be entertaining, and sometimes they can be good and well directed and moving even, but they still are in that tight, we know how to sell it space.
Yeah.
They're not looking for something that is new and different, that's going to expand and grow their audiences. They just want 12-year-old boys and teenagers to come and buy popcorn, and that's what they want.
Yeah.
And go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But I think there was your question. Probably didn't let you finish the question. Was there other than yes, they try and put you in a box?
Yeah. 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 Even with people who do quite outlandish projects one to the other that don't really seem to be the same genre or whatever, like say Kaufman is writing work, he then gets pigeonholed into being the weird guy. So it's
right.
Could he ever go and write, I don't know, like Bridget Jones is or whatever the next?
He
Bridget
probably
Jones
could,
Yeah.
I thought it was funny after I was the action guy for a while.
Yeah.
Before that, I wrote thrillers and some dramas, but I was the action guy. And then after I wrote my first novel, I remember people calling me. I remember after I had the publishers, I gave them a list of people, and they said, "Who do you want us to send books to?" So I just listed everybody in my Rolodex, and that at least was at a studio. And I got more responses from people before they'd even read the book. They were like, "Wow, you're a real writer. You wrote a book." Because I mean, seriously, there's your action writer, which they expect everything you write is probably monosyllabic, and dull. I wrote a book, and right after I wrote the book, I was able to walk into studios and sell pitches on projects completely different than what I'd done before, because suddenly they looked upon me as not a one pony, one horse, one trick pony. There we go. Got to get the aphorism right. Get the one trick pony. That's what they thought I was, and so now I was like a 2-trick pony or a 3-trick pony. So and it was good that I did that, but that's the only way I was able to do that.
And your novels are serialized because it's the same character over all the books. So was that planned from the beginning, or did that come out of the success of the first book?
There was no plan. There wasn't a plan until there was Lucky Dey. And Lucky Dey was a character in Blood Money. Blood Money is the official first Lucky Dey book, but if you read it, it's actually a big ensemble piece, and Lucky is one of the characters. But when I finished Blood Money, I said, "Oh wait, I have places I want to go with this guy." And so from then on, there's been a plan. I'm finishing my 5th Lucky Dey book tomorrow, believe it or not. At least finishing this version of it, this draft of it. But so the plan came after. It's sort of like, but it wasn't, there wasn't a plan to I need to come up with a franchise character. When I was asked by book agents and stuff, you need to come up with a franchise character or come up with a franchise character, I said, I don't know how to do that. I really don't get that. So until I wrote him, and he becomes this vessel that you want to invest into, that audiences want to keep reading, but also is he's not just a vessel you can invest into and write stuff. He's also a catalyst for story. I mean, that's it. The nature of his character is, I would call him a human catalyst for stuff happening, because stuff happens around him. His common law wife calls him a shit magnet, because that's kind of what happens to Lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky, if anything, is going to get in the shit. He will create problems. He will create conflict. So suddenly I had a franchise character. So if I was going to make one up out of the blue, I would probably take what I learned and said, okay, someone you want to invest in, but someone who is a catalytic personality. Otherwise, how are you going to build stories around them?
Yeah, definitely. When you're writing novels, does your writing, I don't know the word this to be coherent English.
So far, so good.
Yep.
Mr. Carson.
Yep. It's quite good for it being my second language.
Yeah.
When you're sitting down to write, your writing day, is it the same as when you're writing a screenplay? Do you write like a page count you're going for, or a word count, or is it completely different for the different style?
It can be a page count, it can be a word count, but the way it works out, my writing day is the same with screenwriting and book writing, in that the day before I finished my work today, there'll be at some point tonight, I will check in with myself, my writing self, and go through in my head what I'm going to write tomorrow. And I'll have a chunk of something I want to accomplish. It might be 1,000 words. It might be 5,000 words. It might be 2 scenes. It might be revise these 6 scenes.
Yeah.
But I have a plan on what I want to accomplish that day. And then maybe while I'm in the middle of accomplishing it, you'll get into a rhythm and you'll do some more. But that's my primary way I go about it. Most of my writing day is getting through the stuff that the day before I kind of said, this is what I need to get done. It's like a chores list almost. I mean, yeah. I'm revising a novel right now. I'm in the middle of revising it. And so I have so many pages a day I want to revise of the novel versus word count or whatever. It's just, I want to sweep the upstairs. Okay, let's figure out how the best way to sweep the upstairs. I do it, and I think that's how I'm able to accomplish and write as much as I do and have, and not nearly as much as other people I know, by the way. I still feel like I'm a piker when it comes to word count per day, but I've become over time very disciplined about, okay, this is what I want to get done today, and all the pieces, have I put all the pieces together and set myself up so I can sit down and get it done? Because I haven't put those things together in advance. When I sit down, the next morning with my cup of coffee and, I go, oh, where am I? What am I doing? And then I'm lost. Maybe that's how I keep from getting writer's block. Maybe that's what writer's block is. When you look at the screen or the page, you don't know what to do. I've already figured it out the day in advance. So it's all about executing it.
Yeah. I think that's the thing I arsed up when I was writing my novel. Was I kind of, from basically day, I don't know, maybe the 3rd week into writing, I was sitting down, I was writing 3,000 words a day. So I thought, oh, I'm doing great. And then I got into a weird routine where I just started going back and editing. So it was just a case of the most of the day was just editing, and I was maybe getting like 100 words.
You're not getting words done.
Yeah.
You're not covering territory.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Patton, he didn't like to cover the same territory twice. That's kind of how I feel, writing, until I get so far into the story. Like with novels, for me, I tend to get roughly 2/3 to 3/4 the way through the story. And then I've written so many notes to myself about stuff that I want to change in work. I'll stop and I'll go back and I'll revise and build up speed up to that point where I left off, and then finish and then start revising again. So it's like I never quite get to the end. I always feel like I want a real head of steam, and I want to know where everything is. So when I finish and write the finish, you know, I have a sense of the shape of everything. But it's still, I don't like to go back and reclaim that territory until I've gotten so far ahead, because it can feel like, wait a minute, I'm just, you know, I'm rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic and we're all going down.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, if you're a working writer, you've got deadlines, you know, unless you've got, I mean, it's on screenplays, you know, the studio's going to call you and say, where are you? Where is it? You know, and I'll say, do you want it good or do you want it fast? And of course, they always say, we want it good and fast. Oh, yeah, forgot. You're writing me the checks. Okay, let me try and make it good and fast.
Yep.
Go hide from the movie star. He's calling you every 5 minutes saying, where's the script? What's wrong? Let's destroy it. Let's mess with it. That's a whole nother problem that you can have as a writer. That's a quality problem.
Yeah. My thing is, I can write fast. I'm not 100% sure I can write good, but I can write fast when it comes to screenplays.
Yeah, it's. I used to write faster. Now I write efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. Because when I write fast, I start sucking, and sometimes all you have is time to write fast. So I purposely try and slow myself down, and make what I'm putting down way better. You know, and I get I don't have to revise as much when I write at a certain pace.
Yeah.
But some people I know a guy who writes 5,000 words a day.
Jesus.
And he's a book machine. That's how his brain works. You know, God bless him. I hate him, but God bless him. You know, he's a ninja, and that's how many words he writes a day.
Yeah. For the audio drama I'm writing at the moment, I'm writing probably about 10 pages a day. But it's the rewrite stage that I then slow down and take my time with it. So it's just a case of getting the story where it needs to be and then fixing the fuck ups afterwards.
And when I write screenplays, that's actually my favorite part of the writing process. Is I'm done, now I'm just tinkering.
Yeah.
I don't do that so much on books because I find the revising period is so much more detailed on a book. So you're just in it, and you're just trying to get, you know, you're still molding and shaping and shading. Screenwriting, it's sort of fun to get in and say, okay, today I'm just going to work on dialogue. I'm just going to work on this character's dialogue today. Just, you know, an idea came to me, and and that's the most fun part of screenwriting for me. I think that's the most satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, this project I'm working on at the moment, because I'm getting lines sent to me from people as I'm writing, that's heavily influencing the way it's going forward. So it's the most interactive writing process I've had so far. Sometimes it's probably not a good thing, but it feels...
No, it can be a great thing. That kind of and it can be fun. The collaboration process is the best part of making movies. When it's working, instead of like you've got one person rowing in one direction, you've got sometimes it's 5, 10. You get those actors that are great with you.
Yeah.
You know, you can really, you know, get a rhythm going, and a good actor, you know, or other good writers or other good creative people can really inspire you to do different things.
Definitely. Yeah.
And at the end, as I always used to say, when I was on Bad Boys and I was cutting and pasting bits of dialogue some stuff that I got from auditions tapes, because there was a point where I was writing it on Monday and we were shooting it on Wednesday. I mean, it was that crazy.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, my name's on the film. You know, if you give me the really great line that I use, my name's on it. I'm going to get all the credit. I'll try and give you some credit, but most people aren't going to believe it.
Yeah.
you know. So it's really great when you've got a process that's super collaborative and fun, and stuff comes out of it that you don't expect.
Definitely. Have you ever had experience with a film you've written and someone's ad-libbed a line and it sucked?
Many, 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 too many times. Because it creates a very difficult situation on a movie like Bad Boys.
Yeah.
It could be so bad where Michael Bay would let it was so one of the actors to kind of yuck it up. They'd get so far off the page. If I wasn't there, we'd have no scene. And I had to circle lines of dialogue in Sharpie in the morning and say, Michael, if these lines of dialogue are left out of the scene, we don't have a scene. Right?
Yeah.
And then Don Simpson would call me from the set like at 10 at night saying, where's the dialogue that you wrote? Where's the dialogue? I'd have to go down there and change it. So there's that kind of stuff. And there's sometimes where it's bad. And there was sometimes when you got a big movie star who just said, why don't we do this? And they'll give you a line reading. And what do you say? Do you say, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard? Or do you kind of say, oh, maybe we can do better, and you try and shape it and stuff like that, and it's something that works. Sometimes it's just, some actors can't form words as well as others.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just trying to find the best words to fit in their mouth because but you get that, usually the ad lib that stinks, that's like that squeaks, everyone hears it. So you don't have to worry because that the director heard it and the editor heard it, and maybe we're gonna fix it in the editing room or try and get it a different way. So it's not nearly as bad as bad acting. That's when you've got a line that doesn't work or does work, and you've got an actor that can't do it, and you're on the set and you're there on the day and you're burning money, and what do? It looks like you look like an idiot because sometimes it's like, well, the writer, it must not be good dialogue if this actor, no, the actor's really bad or is having a bad moment. And, how do you fix that? And sometimes you have to do it through dialogue. You got to write them something new that they can get their mouth around. It's hysterical. On Bad Boys, though, the funny story on Bad Boys is Martin Lawrence couldn't get his name around Mike Lowry, saying the name Mike Lowry. And he would always say Mike Lowry like that. Yeah. And I thought it was funny as hell. And so did a couple other people. And he kept asking me to change, Will Smith's character's name because he was going to have to be Mike Lowry or ask for Mike Lowry so he could get his mouth around it. And I just kept not doing it. And I think it was like day 3 of the shoot. He had to say Mike Lowry. I had to say, he's knocking on Tay Leone's door and he's got to say, it's Mike Lowry. And every time he did it, it was hysterical. And that's when I knew, I said, it's great. It's in the movie. It's in the movie forever. Can't she change it now? I remember Martin coming up to me and says, you never came up with a name for me. And I was like, I know, I'm sorry. We were squeezing laughs out of anything on that movie.
Yeah.
If it was funny, it was in the movie.
That was a film that had an incredible cast from the leads all the way down.
Yeah, it really was. We were very, 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 and some of that had to do with, you're not supposed to make a movie the way you make Bad Boys because there's stories I can tell and stories I can't, but you're not supposed to make films like that when it's that chaotic and you've got a first-time director and you've got cast members that are and sitcoms they got to go back to, and you've got a studio yelling at you to not spend money, and so it was sort of like, and you've got no script, and and so we were casting actors that were willing to jump on board without a script. That's how we found Taya. Studio did not want to cast Tay Leone. They thought they had an ethnic, kind of a street urban black movie, and they did not want a white woman in that role. And Martin didn't want to be doing scenes with a white woman because he was worried about his image. And we were sort of like, yeah, but she's funny And she said yes. She had the most amazing audition tape, and we just said yes. Fly her to Miami. Let's go. And before the studio could catch hold, to everyone from Michael Imperioli. I mean, when he showed up on set, on not on set, but at the Biltmore production office, I ran into him and I said, "Dude, I just hope you don't mind when you show up on set, you see a lot of dialogue from your audition, you know, in there, because some of the stuff you did on tape in New York was funny, and we need every funny we can get." Yeah. So I just slammed that stuff in, and he was like, "That's cool, man. That's cool." And that was great. And then we just kept casting good people, and the movie was moving so fast, we didn't have time to second guess stuff. You just had to, oh, they're good, grab them. They're good, grab them. You know, Severino, he was like, or Severio, that's his name. The guy who played Chet the doorman. God, yeah. I mean, the audition was amazing. And we just kind of said, get him now. And he threw some stuff in that I loved that I put in the film. And it kind of went like that. If someone did something, said something funny that worked, we just kind of grabbed it and did it no matter what, and hoped it would come together. And it did. We got lucky.
Yeah, Taya's a very underrated actress, I think.
Totally. Totally. Super smart.
Yeah. I've never...
And boy, and we put her through heck on that movie. Let me tell you, it was rough. It was really rough. It was like, there's no character. There's nothing. I'm trying to write stuff for her. You know, she's in action scenes. Michael doesn't want her to have a stunt double, you know, so she's getting scraped and banged up but she was game. She jumped in with both feet. And she was awesome. It's not very writerly, but one of the fun things about writing is writing movies is getting to see stuff like that come together, and to see, you know, people putting everything into their craft, whether it's Tay Leone or Christian Wagner, the editor. I remember Michael shot some scenes. It just, you looked on the dailies and they were flat. It's like, oh my God, well, it wasn't supposed to be that way. And then Christian Wagner would come in and say, nah, I can fix it. And he took every take and he put different takes together, and suddenly it had rhythm again.
Yeah. What actor has given your favorite performance in a film that you've written?
Oh, I've never gotten asked that question before. What a cool question. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it has to be Ben Foster. I mean, I'm gonna look. I've got well. There's actors. Ben Foster in Hostage. There's some stuff he did that was just, you know, one of the beauties, one of the greatest thrills of writing movies. Is working with these crazy people called actors, and I'm telling you, they're flat out crazy. They're mad as hatters, and they will drive you out of your skull. But occasionally, and sometimes more often than not with some actors, they will take something you've done and elevate it to a place that you didn't think it could go.
Yeah.
And then it's like rapture. It's so beautiful to watch them do that. Ben has done that. Jonathan Tucker did it some moments in Hostage, but I mean, Kim Coates in Hostage. I think Tucker's become a really accomplished actor since Hostage.
Yeah.
I think it was the first time Tucker played a role that had that kind of histrionics in it. And he's really become a really wonderful actor since then. Kim Coates was amazing in Hostage because he had to do what's called mask acting, because you know, he was like, we put him in a mask or in shadow the entire film, and that's a special art. You have to make everything come across only with your voice. So those are like the ones I can think of that really kind of, you know, gave me goosebumps at times. I mean, Bruce has had moments, and I think all actors have had moments, but I would say those fellas, and I would and everybody in Bad Boys, everybody was phenomenal. in that movie. I mean, it's silly to look back on it because it was so long ago, yet it still kind of stands up.
Yeah.
For what it was at that time. Everyone was sort of like in the boat, paddling in all the same direction, trying to squeak whatever they could out of it. And so I would say everybody in that movie.
Yeah, it was one of those films like, say, something like Lethal Weapon a decade before, where there was so many films that kind of ripped it off afterwards.
Right.
Bad Boys was one of those movies where people, it was just film after film.
Yeah, it's been
trying to do the same formula.
Yeah, it's been done visually. People have done it, ripped it off visually, and it's been done so many ways. So it's kind of special in that regard. But yeah, I like that question about which actor gave the special performance. We're talking about my films like they're, Emmy or Oscar nominated pictures with these great actors in them delivering your lines to, like it's not like I've had Daniel Day-Lewis in them. To pick my moments.
Well, Bruce Willis, Will Smith have both been nominated for an Oscar. So,
what's that?
Both Bruce Willis and Will Smith have been nominated for an Oscar before. So,
Bruce Willis and who?
Will Smith.
Will Smith will be. Well, Will's been nominated.
Yeah.
Bruce has not. I don't think.
I thought he was nominated for supporting actor.
I don't think he was.
Pulp Fiction, but I might be wrong.
No, was a bone of contention between him and the evil Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
He was very mad at Weinstein for many years because Weinstein had promised he was going to push him, he's going to Oscar campaign him for supporting actor. And instead he got behind Travolta for supporting actor, and Travolta got the nomination.
Yeah.
So when the Weinsteins wanted to distribute Hostage, that was a big thing because Bruce was like, Harvey Weinstein, absolutely not, never, ever again.
Yeah.
And, but they fought their way in. And then once we signed the contract, then he was Harvey Weinstein. He did everything. He screwed us every which way.
Yeah.
So Bruce was probably right. We probably should have gone with some other distributor at that point. But yeah, so Bruce has not been nominated. Will has. I'm pretty sure. Anyone out there listening to this, Google it if I'm wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was for the golf movie, if not for Ali. Was it Bagger Vance?
He was certainly nominated for Ali.
Yeah.
And maybe that was it. Yeah. So Will might one day. I mean, yeah, he may be nominated again.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up, you were talking about the book you're editing at the moment. When will that be coming out?
It'll be out probably in May. It's called The Night Is Never Black. That's not very noir, is it? But it's not just a noir title. The title works. It's the 5th Lucky Dey book, and it's, if your listeners haven't read any of the Lucky Dey books, the other 4 are available at Amazon right now. They can go there and download them or have them, have a copy sent to them. And so, yeah, in the spring and then late spring, then maybe probably within a year, there'll be another book. But right now, I'm just trying to finish this book.
Yeah.
Get it out there, work on a few movie things.
Will you be working on any Lucky Dey film or television projects?
I get that asked a lot. I'm not ready to do that.
Yeah.
If I were to work on a Lucky Dey, I think it would be a great TV project. Yeah. I would have to stop writing Lucky Dey books or give it away. I'm not willing to do either right now. I'm not willing to just sell it and have them make anything out of it. I'd have to be involved to a certain point. And again, I wouldn't write any Lucky Dey books. Maybe when I've got 8 or 9, I know I've got at least 10 books in me on it. At that point, I might think of, you know, doing a TV series. I don't know how Michael Connelly's doing it with, you know, his series.
Yeah.
And I know they're kind of cobbling together like 2 books into one in each show, you know, at least each season.
Mm-hmm.
But he's written enough of those books to where, you know, he can kind of slow it down a bit. I still need to I'm still pushing the rock up the hill, trying to build the Lucky Dey fan base and stuff before I leave it to go exploit it in television.
Yeah, I think Ian Rankin had that issue when writing Rebus, and then it became a television show. The television show started influencing his writing because he started picturing the actor in his head, whereas before he had the, you know, made up version in his head.
Yeah, and that's cool too. I think that would be really cool. I get asked 2-3 times a week who I would like to play Lucky Dey. Got asked today, and I have my own ideas, but I don't want to do that to my reader. I don't want them. You know, that's the beauty of reading books, is picturing. You know, it's the magic of writing as well. The magic, what's as magical about reading as it is writing. It's, you still aren't told everything. You know, what Drew Carson or me or anyone else, when we're reading it, we're bringing so much to the party.
Yeah.
Our own interpretations in our mind of what stuff looks like and what it sounds like and what he or she looks like. And that's such a magical part of fiction, you know, written fiction. I don't want to do that to my readers. You know, I don't want to bring Tom Cruise in, you know, to play, what is that lead child character that played
Reacher.
Jack Reacher,
yeah.
And have everyone yell and scream saying Tom Cruise is a midget, and you know. Okay, wait. Oh, don't edit that out. That's fine. You can say that.
Yeah.
I don't have a relationship with Mr. Cruise, but but you know, yeah, there was a big outcry because Jack Reacher's apparently this big giant man, and you know, they may, so I wouldn't want to do that to my audience. And at some point, if we do make the show, I hope we choose an actor that doesn't piss everybody off. It's going to piss somebody off, certainly, because everyone has different images in their minds.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll see.
But he won't
Down
be a
the
midget.
What's that?
But he won't be a midget, is what you're saying.
Probably not. I don't know. If Peter Dinklage came to me, brilliant actor. No, think about this.
Yeah.
This is a really hard thing, okay? If a really brilliant actor came to me and said, I want to play Lucky Dey, a brilliant actor, not just anybody, like Peter Dinklage, who's totally different, I don't know if I'd say yes or not, but I would really have to think about it, because what he could bring to the character and the show might be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And that's so I never throw that stuff out. I never say no. You know, Bruce, on, you know, one of my favorite actors, Ben Foster. Bruce did not want to cast him in Hostage. Big fight. But by the time the movie was over, Bruce Willis was the biggest Ben Foster fan, because he finally saw it. He saw what an amazing, you know, actor this guy is, and how great he is to work with, and how he puts the effort in, and he's always there. He's good on every take. He's the real McCoy. He's going to win. If Ben does not win an Oscar one day, I'll be shocked. He's just too good. But, you know, so never say never. I always say that when an idea comes to you, and if it sounds terrible, even if, you know, I mean, it may not have worked for the Jack Reacher fans. I don't know if it worked for Lee Child. I heard he said yes to, you know, he wrote the guy. Yeah. I'd like to know who you would want to play Lucky Dey. That's much more interesting, what the fans want. What the fans want.
I'm not sure. I know that people have been, when they on my email list when I send out who's going to be the guests and they send me questions. One of the names that keeps getting mentioned quite a few times, which I found a strangely baffling choice but interesting at the same time, was Tim Robbins for some reason, which I couldn't work out because I don't.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I don't see the resemblance.
I don't see it either. But well, Tim's really tall.
Yeah,
Tim's like 6'4", I think 6'5", maybe even.
Yeah.
He's one of the tallest actors, and Lucky's not that tall.
No.
But I don't know. Who knows? Tim's a really terrific actor, so I wouldn't say no. I would think about it. I've seen amazing things happen when you're not expecting it. So, like New Year's Eve podcast with you.
Yeah. There was no real other way to end that, though, was there? Let's be honest.
I don't think it's ever been ended. I don't think I've ever done any program of any kind that's ever ended so well.
No.
And appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
But that was Drew Carson, not Drew Crayson.
Yep.
Different guy.
Yeah. I almost had a Facebook
there, sort of. What's that?
I almost had a Facebook ban off of that because there was so many complaints.
Oh, that's a dubious achievement award.
Yeah.
All right. I will have to say, literally, the food is burning. I need to go put it on the table.
It's been an absolute
pleasure.
Feed
the people. Anytime, Drew.
Thank you.
All right. You take care. I'm glad we worked this out.
Yep, me too.
Don't forget that. Edit that part out.
I won't.
Okay.
See you.
See you, pal. Bye.
Bye.